If you run a visa agency in 2026, you've probably experimented with automation like ChatGPT, internal tools, or maybe some dedicated platform. In this video, I'll walk through 3 common visa automation approaches that agencies are using today, the pros and cons of each, and which one actually works at scale. So to explore this, let's go through the current process that visa consultancies go through. So the first step is the client filling out some basic details and firstly finding out whether they need a visa or not. And if they do require a visa, then based on their details, a checklist of documents will be created and web forms will be provided that they can fill out. Once these are filled out, these documents are received and reviewed by the staff, and then letters are generated in the form of things like cover letters or business letters. Then once that happens, the appointment is able to be booked, and then we send the documents off to the embassy. There are currently many ways to automate different parts of the process, but today we'll be focusing on 3 automation tools. The first automation tool will be able to automate the appointment booking part of the process. The second automation tool will be able to automate the letter generation part of the process. And stay till the end because the third automation tool will be able to automate the end-to-end process and most of the process that we as a company currently use. So the first example I have is automating the booking appointments, which usually takes around 30 to 40 minutes, but this can be done within minutes. And the way to do this is with a GitHub repository, where this is basically a publicly published piece of code, which you can then deploy locally and then go and use it yourself. So the example I have is one of the particular projects in GitHub, which is a visa appointment automation. And this takes information from clients and uploads onto the next available appointment. And it saves the team a lot of time. So there are 3 major risks to this. The first is that obviously there's a big data risk because you're giving data to a third party. The second point I would say is that there's complexity to implementing the platform. Since this GitHub involves a lot of coding, and so when you get started you have to do several things like cloning the repositories or installing the dependencies, it requires someone very technical to maintain it. And the third problem is with the risk of embassy. There have been times when someone has been banned from embassies when using a third-party automation system, and the upside is huge, only if it can be withheld internally. I wouldn't really recommend this, but if there is a way to overcome the 3 risks, I would highly encourage it. So the second thing is using general purpose AI for the cover letter stage. And this reduces from a 20-minute period usually to again minutes. And what this does is what you do is you literally put in your prompt, right? You insert your documents, insert your screenshots, and ChatGPT will autofill the cover letter for you. And there are 2 huge upsides of this. The first is obviously it helps with mistakes. I would say humans make around a 6% error rate, when staffs do it, compared to 2% if AI does it. So that means there's less chance of a visa rejection. The second thing is a lot of time is saved once again. But there are 2 huge downsides to this. I would say the first downside is there's a huge security risk because data can be shared elsewhere or stored by third parties. And this might not be compliant with laws including GDPR. And this could mean an issue with the client or even breaking the law. So I would say always assess the risk beforehand with your client. The second point is the ChatGPT is an LLM and it's based on probabilistic data. This means it can typically follow the exact prompt, but it can deviate and it could mean rejection of the visa. However, the one that's caught my eye that automates end-to-end processes of the visa process and internally, for example with the US Embassy application, is a software called VisaWire. So let me go back to this graph to explain why VisaWire is such a great option. So for example, the client in the first step will have to fill out basic details. And by doing so, the VisaWire will already automatically handle whether they need a visa and create an instant checklist. So the first 2 steps are seamlessly skipped. After that, you will have to upload your personal document like your passport. And for example, the US visa needs 6 months of expiry left from the date of travel. So if the applicant uploads a passport which is 3 months from the expiry date, it will automatically reject. And this means the process of my team going through the back and forth and making sure the documents are correct or not are already skipped. And then in the next step, the letters are already generated automatically. And again, the embassy forms can be autofilled. So you don't have to go through the basic process of copying down what you wrote again and again. So it just saves a lot of time. Then you have to manually send the documents to the embassy, but that's the only step that you manually have to do. Therefore, if you're a visa consultancy agency in 2026, you should definitely be using AI automation. If you use things like GitHub, it'll reduce the time from 30 to 40 minutes to again a few minutes. If you use things like ChatGPT, it'll help shorten the process from around 20 minutes to again a few minutes. And then if you use things like VisaWire, which basically help with the whole process, it'll take the process from around 4 hours to merely 20 minutes. So that's it for all. Again, the thing with VisaWire is in the description below if you're interested. But thank you very much for watching the video.